So welcome back to the channel. It's the 4th of May 2017. Today we're looking at a race at Redcar, the 4:30, a 7 furlong handicap. And the favourite is quite strong. Gilgamesh won its last two races. Tai Singh is a very lightly raced 3-year-old trading at 6.2. And then we've got the trades that we're looking at in Fieldsman, Saki's Return, Taylor's Row, Shamahart and Slemmy. And then the two that we're not really interested for a number of reasons. We'll go through those in a short while. Mohab and also Deansgate. So these are the 5 that we're looking at. We're looking to trade on Shamahart and Slemmy, multiple trades on those two, and we're looking for a quick single bet trade on these 3 here. Now Fieldsman, I've put that in at 16. You can see that's quite a long way away from its 8.4 at the moment. And Saki's Return likewise, I've put that in at 20. And that's again quite a distance from its current price of 11.0. But we have seen in the past that prices can drift out alarmingly if money comes in for other horses. So although it seems a long way off at the moment, we could actually get closer to those kind of prices. Taylor Row is the one that's interesting me at the moment because it ran last time out, beaten 1 length by Gilgamesh, who's trading at 2.60, and this is trading higher at around about 13.5, and you can see the graph already on that far side. So this is what we were talking about before. It traded at 8 and now it's going out close to 15, so you do get those big outward movements on some of these horses. And we've took a trade at 14.64 just to show if there is non-runners in the race, then the effect that will have on the price in terms of trading. Shamahart is an older horse, been running on the all-weather, so fitness is probably assured on that one. And we've put that in at 28 and it's currently trading at 16.5. So again, seems a long way off, but these things will trade, these horses will trade out if there's money for other ones, and a little bit of weakness on the same one. Now Slemmy ran no sort of race last time out at Catterick, and we'll have a look at the form of these in a moment. 32 is a bit short in my opinion, and I'd be wanting more in the region of 70 and above to even think about trading on that particular horse. It does have form in round about this class, but only a 3rd place, so it's not performed above expectations in terms of the class of this race, but I think 70 is a fair starting place, and we're going to keep that to small stakes on the race. Mohab is one that's come down in the official ratings, or the weights if you like, and it's running over a distance of 7 furlongs today, so it's dropping in class. And although it is dropping in the ratings, we'd like to see a little bit more from this one, but there wouldn't be any surprise if it turns around and ran a decent race. But at the prices, we're not prepared to trade on that one. Deansgate, you'll see in a moment that it looks to be slightly out of its class, and again I think 18 is probably a bit too short. So let's have a look at the form, let's have a look at the race analysis sheet that we've set up to explain why we've put in these figures at the amount that we have. Fieldsman at 16, Saki's Return at 20, Taylor's Row at 15, Shamahart 28 and Slemmy at 70. And we'll also have a look at the form on these two. So let's have a look at that now. So let's have a look at the form for Redcar 4:30, and I've put them in alphabetical order. I've no such preference on the runners here. The first one we're going to look at is Deansgate. Quite a lightly raced individual, 4-year-old now, and it's got these fairly consistent runs as a 3-year-old. And I would say the best run, or best performance in my opinion, is this one here on May the 23rd. Look at the total rating of the race, 147, just slightly above the other ones apart from this one where it finished 3rd of 5, and also rated 72. So 147 was a decent figure. 72 is a moderate to low handicapper. 75 is the class of the race, that's the opponent's official rating including Deansgate added together and divided by the number of runners in the race, and that gives an accurate assessment of the race class. So rating 72, average race rating at 75, a total of 147, and that was third of 9, beaten 3/4 of a length. Now if we look at today's race at Redcar here, we've got good to firm ground, which is fine. 7 furlongs, it ran well at Redcar over this distance, so again I'm okay with that distance. And then we've got the rating here of 81. Now that's quite a bit bigger than some of these other races that it's been running in. So it's running in a better class race today, and it has been beaten in these other races where the class has been below today. So I would say the horse is up against it in this race, and an overall figure of 155 is quite a bit above any of these races, so there's no indication there that the horse is going to run towards the front at the business end of the race. So I'm going to pass that one over. I'm not really interested in trading at that one, and we'll move on to the next one. Fieldsman is an interesting runner in that it has very good form from last season. May the 14th at Newmarket, this race here. Class of the race 87, now running off 80. Now the class of the race is 81 and running off the same mark as was the case on May the 14th. So based on that run, you'd say it must have a chance in this race here. Now the problem with Fieldsman is that this form is almost a year ago, and it's run in probably better races afterwards, but well beaten. So we're going to have to go a long way back for the form for this horse. Now they can come back to form. We've seen it before with a few horses. These can come back to form, but I would want a decent price before I'm considering Fieldsman. But in terms of does it have the ability, yes, it does have the ability from last season. Good to firm ground is fine, distance is fine, and the class of the rating is below that from May the 14th. So Fieldsman would be one for the shortlist at the right price. Gilgamesh is the favourite for the race, and not much to go on, in fact nothing to go on the turf, so we're going to have to look at its all-weather performance. Now bear in mind this figure here, 87, 81, 168, and we're trying to compare it to this particular race here. So let's have a look on the all-weather, what we've done, and it's got decent form at Wolverhampton, so 83, 79, 162 the total rating, and it won the race. So it is open to improvement, it is a 3-year-old. Every chance that it's going to run a decent race. 168 the rating there, and 162 the rating here. So it must have a chance, but obviously the odds on Gilgamesh are a little bit short. So again, we're going to pass this one over, even though we think it's got a decent chance of winning the race. The next runner is Mohab, and that has interesting form insofar as that it was rated very highly as a 3-year-old here, rated 98. Not cut any ice at 3. As a 4-year-old at Redcar, dropped to 86, rating of 79, 165, and beaten 7 lengths. So in terms of today's racing, we're not that much different from that. It's actually up 2 in class, down 3 in the weights, giving an overall rating of 164. And we don't know whether it can act on these conditions. We certainly don't know whether it's going to be like in the 7 furlongs. So overall, we're not really interested in that race. It doesn't have anything to promote its ability. Let's have a look on the all-weather. Again, beaten on November the 17th in a race at Chelmsford, and this was a higher race today, but again well beaten off, so we can't glean anything from that. So in terms of Mohab, we don't have anything to go off with, nothing to compare it with, so again we're going to pass over on that particular runner. Next one up is Saki's Return. This is a pretty consistent horse. As a 3-year-old there, you can see it's won over 7 furlongs, run decent race at 8, but it's probably better over 7. And then as a 4-year-old, ran over 6 furlongs here at Doncaster on September the 8th and put in a very good performance, finishing 3rd of 20. Let's have a look at today's conditions, see if we can glean anything from that. So it's running at Redcar here. It's been off the track quite a while in terms of its run. So we're going back a while for its last OK performance at Doncaster on September the 8th. Good to firm ground. We know that the horse can run well on good to firm ground. That's not a problem. 7 furlongs. Again, yes, we're OK with that. And the class of the race is 164. So here we're looking for, in the past, something similar where it's run a decent race. And we don't have to go back too far. We can go back to Doncaster, rated 83, same today. 86 is the overall class of the race, or the average class of the race, and that's gone down 5 to 81. So quite happy with that. The only stumbling block is the lack of a recent performance. So again, one for the shortlist. We're looking at prices only on this one. We're quite happy to trade if we can get a decent price. Shamahart, a 7-year-old now, had plenty of racing. We know a lot of information about the horse, and today it's running at Redcar, good to firm, so we know from past experience it likes the firm ground. 7 furlongs, run well here at Redcar, so that's no problem. And now we're coming to the class of the race. So 162, we're looking for something similar. We got that last time out at Redcar. That was 77 race, so it's up to 4 in class. Now it was beaten in that race at Redcar, so there is an outside chance it could run well, but its form is more or less in lower class races. You can see this one here at Redcar, rated 76. Might run a good race here. Chance of winning is low percentage, so we're looking for the horse to be running more in this sort of class here of 76. You can see when it's been up to 80, 81, it's been beaten in all its races, and this is going to be no exception, I think, today. We've got May the 4th Redcar, so we could trade the horse at reasonable prices. Don't forget, we're not trying to pick the winner of races, we're just trying to trade at odds that we think are over what the horse actually should be. So if we can get decent odds before the race, we'll possibly trade Shamahart and lay that in running, or hedge out for a profit. So that's Shamahart, pretty good consistent horse, slightly out of its class today. Slemmy is pretty similar to the last one we looked at, in that its winning form has come in lower grades. So you can see 76, 73, 71, and today's race is 81. Now the one problem with Slemmy that puts me off the most is this performance last time out, and it really was a dire performance. The race rating was only 69, it was one of the top weights, and it really should have run a lot better there at Catterick. So it's in no form whatsoever, and overall we want to see a little bit more from it for trading purposes. Now, having said that, we've still got this run in mind on August 27th at Beverley, so it is capable of running quite well in this particular grade. So I wouldn't write it off entirely, but this is a stumbling block for me, the April the 12th. I know in the past we've said you can disregard form, but that just really was a bad run, and we would want, I'm quite happy to trade it, but we would want a huge price before we even considered the option. So something in the region of 60, even higher than that on Slemmy, would be okay to trade, but not a shortish price. Tai Sing Ye is an interesting runner. We don't have any handicap form for it because it's only run in 2 races, and those were maiden races. So this could be anything. It could run a pretty good race. We've got a maiden win next to its name, very unexposed, 3-year-old improving, so it could run a good race. Again, the decent thing is to scrap the option for trading because the price is pretty low, round about 6.0. So if it wins the race, fine, leave it, let it win. Trading options, not for me. The final one we're going to look at is perhaps the most interesting runner in the field, Taylor's Row. And you can see as a 2-year-old it's got this form here where it's 3rd of 8, beaten 2 1/4 lengths, and also only beaten a length here at York. Now that was behind this rating of 81, so it would have to step up on that particular performance. And if we look at the all-weather, we can see last time out it ran on February 24th at Wolverhampton, rated 80, race rating of 77, 157 was its official overall total, so not far removed from today's running, and it looks like it's an improving sort. Now he's only beaten 1 length, and that 1 length was against the favourite today, Gilgamesh, and Taylor's Row is trading much higher in price. So if we can get a trade on this one, then that would be an option for me. Taylor's Row is the interesting runner in this particular race. So this is the race analysis sheet giving you the details of the race and the runners. This is an analysis of the 6 factors that we're looking at, including distance, going, draw, ratings and form, the bookmakers and the Betfair current odds here. And then this is the main part over here where we're giving out the advice. So Taylor's Row, we're giving out the advice to bet at 16 and then lay off at 13.5. And you can do that multiple times to build up a nice profit, and if you've got the profit there, then you can lay it in running afterwards. So Taylor's Row 16, Fieldsman and Saki's Return also the single trades, and then the multiple trades on Slemmy at the very high price of 70 and Shamahart at 28. I'll leave that up for a few seconds. You can just pause it and read the rest at your leisure if you like. Now the second part I want to deal with early on in this video is the fact of liquidity in the market at various stages throughout the day. So this is the race at 10:07. You can see the race there 6 hours and 22 minutes away from the start. And we've got Gilgamesh, the short price favourite, and there's not that much money on the right hand side to stop the price moving up. You can see on this side, on the lay side, we've got the price quite loaded up with cash, and that's having the effect of just pushing that price back towards its high of, well, 3.1 was the high. It might not get back to 3.1, but it might just go a little bit higher on that. Let's have a look at Tai Sing. Yeah, we've got plenty of money on both sides, and that's reasonable for a horse that's trading at 6.2. So the more money on the right and the left is in line with the number of people that want to trade at this price. So 6.2, you'd expect quite a bit of money coming in. You'd expect a bit more money on the right for Gilgamesh, but that one is fairly weak at the moment. Now Fieldsman will have to just scroll down to have a look at the liquidity on this market. Again, it's under 10, so you'd expect quite a bit of money to be traded on these fancied runners, and that one has over £100 on these 5 slots here, and over £100 on these on the lay side. So I'll just put that back up. We'll deal with the next one along, and that's Saki's Return. Now this is trading at 11, so again you'd expect quite a weight of money, and we've got the weight of money there in at 11.5, 100. On the lay side we don't have any large amounts, but we have a sprinkling of decent amounts on that side, and you can see the price trading roughly about 10. And you'll notice on these graphs that there's not that bigger movement from its current price, and that's because these prices are being held up by the weight of money. And if you're trading at big meetings like Royal Ascot, that'll be in the thousands, and the price will get stuck between these two. So we're looking for prices certainly early on in the day that's going to be a little bit more in terms of getting that big movement that you want for better trades. So we've looked at Fieldsman, we've looked at Saki's Return, and now we come to Taylor's Row. This is a little bit higher in price, and you see the money is not as great as these other 4. So we have got room for manoeuvre with Taylor's Row because we've not got the strength of money on the right, and we've certainly not got the strength of money on the left. Now you can see I've already made a trade at 14.64, and I'm going to try and lay that off at 11.5, and I'll put that in just to illustrate mainly the shifting price if there's a non-runner and how that will change. But I think 14.5 is reasonable. Anything above that is a bonus for the form on offer. So we have got room for manoeuvre with Taylor's Row. Let's have a look at Shamahart. That's trading at 16, and again you can see the weakness on both sides. So I'll just scroll that up a little bit. We've not got that much money here, 22, 30, 41, 44, and on this side we've got 8, 14, 17, 19 pounds on that side. So Shamahart could actually drift out quite quickly, or it could come in fairly sharply as well, so because of the money on either side, and the liquidity is what it's called in the market. So we're looking for this type of thing if you're trading throughout the day. You're looking for a position where there's not that much money on either side. Now let's have a look at Slemmy. We'd expect that to also be quite easy to trade, and you can see as you get higher up the market, then certainly at this time in the morning you've got less and less money on the bet side and the lay side. So you can see that we've put the money in at 70 there, and if you look at the price as it is, we've got £2 there, we've got £3 in total, 46, and then another 4 at 65, and that takes it up a total of £7, stopping the market from getting up to the price of 70. So even though it looks a long way off, we only have to take £7 before we get to this particular mark. And if we look at Mohab, we're not trading on this one, so we haven't put any target in there. But again, you can see not much in terms of money on this side. So you could see sharp movements in the price of this horse. And also Deansgate trading at 17.5, but again, not much strength in depth in the market. So these are positions at, it's now 10.13, and you can see the more money has come in for the shorter price horses. So these are going to be harder to trade because they've not got that flexibility in price. Saki's return has got this £100 that's stopping it. If that removes, then we don't have much behind that, and we could see an upward movement, but we'd certainly need to get rid of this £100 at 11.5 before we do see any of that particular movement upwards. So Saki's return, we put that in at 20. That £100 is certainly a barrier at that position of 11. And then Taylor's Row, as we said, we've got this money in at 8. We can do a simple trade, single bet trade, put that in and see if the market goes back out. We may be able to do another single bet trade on that, but normally we would just have one bet in there and follow it down, and if the price goes higher, we're prepared to make that in running. We're not going to be doing multiple trades, so we're just one bet and then lay it off, and if it doesn't get laid off, we'll do that in running. Now that's a higher risk strategy, but if we look at front runners, most of the time you can get a lower price in running. So Taylor's Row would be a prime example because it is a front runner, or likes to run up with the pace. It's got a decent draw in 7, although we are on the straight 7 furlongs, so the draw doesn't really matter in this case. But if it was on the round course, then 4 would be a decent draw. And Shamahart 28, Slemmy, like we said, at 70. So let's just explain this position that I've got here at 11.5 with the 8. And normally when we send out advice on single bets, we put it in 5 ticks lower. So that means if you put in the bet in at 14.5, then we're looking to lay it off 5 lower at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the bet would come in, or the lay side would come in at 12. So why have I put it in at 11.5? Well, if you've got a bigger bet, say you're putting on £40, £50, and you put that in at 11.5, it becomes a sort of a barrier to the price going down to that level. So if we put the price in just one below, and then there's not much liquidity on this side, there is a better chance that the price is going to come down to what you want. And when it does come down to 12, then we can move that 8 up and just take that price. And we've also got the added bonus that if the market just suddenly has a downward spiral, then it'll get taken at 11.5. So you can put in a target alert system at 12 if you want to, so you could put that in at 12, and then if the price came down to 12, you'd know that it hit that figure and you'd be able to take the money. So you don't need to be watching the market all the time. These alerts certainly save you a lot of time and effort.
Fully matched.
So you can see that came down there and took it at 12, and we heard the alert at 12, but the price hasn't come down to that figure just yet, so we might want to put another alert in so that we can see next time it comes down to that price whether the market is actually going to be the price that we want. And you can see that now filling up, and hopefully that might get down to 12 shortly. But we've seen the price come down to 12, 12.5. We missed it last time and the price went back up to 15. So anything's possible on these markets, but that's the reason we put in at 11.5, and also we're putting in that small little target there at 12, just to remind us that the price might go. And you can see the price now going back up towards the 15 like it did previously. The time is just after 11 o'clock. You can see the time to the race, 5 hours 27 minutes. So let's have a look at the liquidity position on some of the horses again. Now this one over here, the favourite, remember you see we had a lot of liquidity last time. That has evened out and is not as strong as it should be. So we could get movements sharply up, or again we could get movements sharply down. On this side we've got Tai Sing Ye, which has got more in terms of money on the market than actually the favourite at 2.74. So that is quite surprising that you've got more money here, but that will change later on. Gilgamesh will probably get the more money going on to the bet and the lay side. So we've got quite a strong market here, and again you can see the graph over on the right. 6 is the low price and about 6.4 is what they trade in between, so you've not got much room for manoeuvre on that one. And now we'll look at Fieldsman. Let's just move that down. So we've got less liquidity on Fieldsman, so that means that the price could fluctuate a little bit more. Saki's Return, let's have a look. We did have that stumbling block at 11.5 last time, and that is still there, and that's stopping the price going anywhere. So you can see the graph again going between 10 and 11, and it keeps bouncing off this figure at 11.5. So to get any flexibility in this market for Saki's Return, we'd need to get rid of that large bet there at 11.5, and that will have to come through the market itself. Taylor's Row is still a flexible price. You can see the graph. That's because we've not got much liquidity on this particular horse, so we're going to get these fluctuations until we get some sort of large bet coming in, and that may stop that happening. So this is a decent one to do decent lot of trades on, or single bet trades. I certainly won't be doing multiple trades on it, you know, lining up a lot of bets, because it's not the price I want. The tick in between the prices is fairly small, and that means that we'll have to put quite a lot of multiple trades on over a short distance. So 14.5 for example, if we're putting in at 14.5, we only go up to 18 with 8 positions. So that's why we do the single trades on these shorter price horses, and that one's still got a bit of flexibility in it because of the illiquidity of the market on that particular horse. Shamahart, let's have a look at that one. You can see that one drifting out slightly from its position at 15 up to 17, and this is another one where we've got a lot of money, or a decent amount of money, on at 14.5, and then we've not got much in terms of opposition on this side, so we could see some flexibility on Shamahart. Slemmy, let's have a look at the price. Decent flexibility on that one. It's not gone up to the price we want, but we've still not got that much money in the market, so the flexibility will continue, and if you were going to trade at these prices, then you could do quite easily. And Mohab, similarly, price is pretty flexible. If you look at the price of Mohab and the flexibility of the graph and compare that to this one on Tai Sing Ye with money coming in as the market progresses, then there is a big difference between the graph on Mohab and the other one at 6.0. Let's have a look at Deansgate, and again not a lot of money on that one, so we could see quite a bit of flexibility on these. So these are the horses that we're looking to trade, the ones that are more flexible in the market, and move away from these more rigid positions on the fancied horses. Talking of alert buttons, what I would love to see on Geeks Toy is a new feature. Maybe have on the stake column up here, or a button up here that's maybe red, and you can click on that, and that would not put any money on for you, but if you clicked on the button and then clicked in the race, that would put up a red dot or whatever colour you want, and that would be an alert signal to the prices that you want. So instead of putting this penny in, which is useful, just have a red alert button either on the staking system or up here just above the stake button here, the blue S, and have that in the market, and that would be pretty useful. So if people from Geeks are watching, then that would be a nice feature for traders. If you can put that in, then it would be very useful. Now if we look back at the bet on Taylor's Row, this single trade, we got the price at 14.64 and we're trying to lay that off at 11.5. Now there is sometimes a small line between getting the price that you want and the price that will actually give you the trades, and so 14.5 we would need to go down to the position of 12, and if we got in at 15, just one place higher, we would be trading off at 12.5. and you can see on that the graph on the right hand side that if we did get in at 15, then I'll just put the graph up properly. If we got in at 15, then we could trade in 5 ticks lower at 12.5, get back in at 15 and trade off again at 12.5. But because we got in at 14, more or less 14.5, then we're waiting for that extra tick to go down to 12. So sometimes it can be a very fine line between getting the trades that you want and just being out of the picture in terms of the trade from the bet onto the lay. And we'll look at the position here. We've got this 8 in down here at 11.5, and there is a bit of money at 13 and 12.5. so if you wanted to make a less tick trade, then you could go down to 13.5, take that with the hope of going back down or getting a higher price in about half an hour's time, maybe 15, 15.5 and 16, and then laying that off at a higher price. So the position we're in at the moment, we're either going to wait for the 11.5, which is the correct play in terms of getting the 5 tick, or we could make an adjustment to it, just make a decision that we think the price might go back up to 15. We've got a price here that we could take, and if we put that in, let's have a look at the state there. So if we put that in, we'd just have a potential profit of 8.68 on the raise as opposed to 23.88. Now the trade-off between that is if we got that, we'd lock that profit in, and if the price went up, we might be able to do it another couple of times. And if we left the price in here to 11.5, we wouldn't need to make as many trades and we would get the bigger odds. So you've got to make your judgment call on that. It's not about following set rules. Make your judgment call. If you're happy with trading off at a lower price and the market looks like it might go back up to the price that you originally traded quicker, then it might just be wise to take the 13.5. We're going to leave ours in at 11.5, see what develops, and if it comes down a bit further, maybe we'll trade a bit higher. But the position we put in at 11.5, we've still got just under 5 hours left, and as you get closer to post time, maybe you'd want to move that up, but because there's plenty of time left before the race, we're quite happy to leave that in at 11.5 and then try and trade off, like we said before, when this alert gets taken at 12. And if we put that in at 12, then we'd still get £20 potential profit running onto Taylor's Row, and then we'd have the option of either leaving that or playing in running at some lower price. Okay, time's moved on a little bit, and because this is a tutorial, I want to show you what happens in the next part of the single trade. So we've got this position here at 11.5, we've got the target at 0.01, but we've now got this £41 here at 12 and this 26 at 12.5. So what I'm going to do, for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to move the 8 and we're going to take that to lock in a small profit. So I'm going to move that 8 and move it up to 13.
Fully matched.
And we've got that taken. I can take that target out because we don't need that. Now from this position, what we need to do, we've laid the bet off at 13 and we're going to count 5 ticks up and put our marker back in. This time we're going to be putting the marker in at 15.5, and that's the reason for that is because we laid off at 13, and so that was a reasonable play if you wanted to lock in a bit of profit. Normally we would wait for the 11.5, but we locked it in at 13, and now we're looking to do a second single bet trade, but this time we're going to put it in 5 ticks higher. So if you went down to 11.5 and you traded there, you would go put the marker back in at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'd put the marker back in at 14, and then you could see if you could trade again. But because we've traded higher, we've traded at 13, then we're going to put the tick back in 5 higher from that position. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to put the marker back in at 15.5. Don't forget, we've already made the one bet on that, so we can just hang on to that profit for the time being. If you put in more money on, obviously you're going to get this figure just doing the single bet figure, and this is going to be a lot higher than the 12.48. And so we've got that position sorted, and now we can readjust the bet, put it back in at 15.5, and see if the market will take it. Now when it gets up to 15.5, we're not necessarily going to take the price at that particular time, because we're going to see the market position. Now if there's a lot of money on this side and not much liquidity on the right, then obviously the higher chance is that the price is going to push up further. So even though we've got this target price in at 15.5, we're not necessarily going to take that. We're going to take the higher price if we can get it and start from that position. So if we do get a lot of money on here, not much liquidity, and the market goes up to 17.5, then that would be our new starting position, and we would go down 5 from there. So if we got the bet taken at 17.5, we'd go down and put the lay in at 15. So you can move this around. It is a little bit flexible. Just because you've got a starting position doesn't mean to say that you're going to have to stick to that position the whole way through your bets. Once you've done the first trade, you might have a new position where you want to put the trade in, and then if you've got this pushing up of the market and you've got weakness on this other side, then you can actually let the market go a little bit higher and start from a new position. So even though we've put in the price at 16, for example, on the race analysis sheet, then we can actually make that price a little bit higher. So it is a flexible, obviously the race analysis sheet is for guidance, and we can't always be there to say what prices exactly to take because of the market forces, but we can guide you in a direction to say when to put in the price and at round about what stage, and if the market forces have changed, then obviously you can adjust to that as well. So a lot of it is about making your own decisions on the race based on what we've put into the race analysis sheet. So we are about 50 minutes away from the race, and this is now the time where you'll get the liquidity improvement, and money will start building up right through to the off, and the couple of minutes before the off time you'll see thousands of pounds being traded on more or less every horse, going right through to the outsiders, and tens of thousands of pounds being traded on the favourites. So let's have a look at the liquidity position, and here we've got Gilgamesh, which has got 258 here, and we've also got quite a bit of money on the right hand side. We're still, like we say, 50 minutes away from the race, so this will build up again over time and improve liquidity for those short price traders. We're not going to be doing that ourselves. We tend to focus more on the outsiders and the middle range prices. Let's have a look at Te Sang Ye, and that one still not a great build up of money so far on that one. We've got 90 for 295s here and just in the 20s on the right hand side. Fieldsman, one of the horses we've put down as a trading option on the race analysis sheet, but we're still a long way away from that price, and you can see there's weakness on this side, on the right hand side, only £12 there, that's the top price. So we could see a little bit of weakness on Fieldsman going into the last half an hour of the race, and I'll put that back to our target price. Let's have a look at Saki's return. That's 12.5 at the moment, and we've again got this slight bit of money, 38 the top price there on the right and 17 on the left, so the money not quite built up yet on this one. And Taylor's Row, We'll put this Saki's Secret back to 20. Taylor's Row is trading at 11.5, and incidentally that 11.5 that we had in there did get taken. So if you did trade off at 14.64 and wanted to wait, then you would certainly have traded at the right price of 12. But like I say, it's an example tutorial, and we wanted to show you how the single bet trade works in operation. So that one is now at 12, and money just coming in there, but that will build up over the next half an hour. And Shamahart 16.5, another of the horses that we looked at on the racing analysis sheet, and this has got scope as well to drift out because we're not laden down with massive money on this right hand side. So promise for that one to move out. We'll put that back to 28. Slemmy we put in at 70. It's been as high as 40 and now trading currently at 30, and we still think there's scope for that price to drift outwards. Whether it's going to reach 70 is a different matter, but I have seen horses drift from this position quite regular up to a mark of 70, and there isn't that much opposition in either direction for Slemmy drawn 5. So we'll put that one back as well, back up to 70, and then we've got Mohab who's coming quite sharply from 34 into 20. Obviously people think now that that one is well handicapped, trying a new trip. It's a bit of an unexposed horse in terms of being lightly raced. And Deansgate, this one has surprised me with the price coming in from 18 down to round about 11.5. We weren't expecting that price to come in. The form wasn't that strong to make the price come in like that, but sometimes you do get this surprise on a race where a horse that you don't think has the form coming in price. Somebody may know something that we don't. The horse might have improved. We're not privy to that information, but we're going to stick to our guns. We're going to play on the horses that we suggested. So Fieldsman, Saki's Return, Taylor's Row, Shamahart and Slemmy. Now we're not expecting the likes of Slemmy to win the race. What we're trying to do here is to trade at 70, lay off at different prices, trade between a range and build up a potential profit, and then try and hedge before the race starts. And if we've got some surplus money left over, we can put that on different horses, or we can play in running. But the main thing what we want to do on Slemmy is to build up profit and then hedge before the race. Like I say, we're not expecting Slemmy to win the race or anything like that. Might not even expect it to come in the first 3, but we're hopeful of getting some sort of return just by hedging the market after trading at very high prices. 24 minutes to post time. Let's have a look at the position in terms of liquidity. Quite a good build up now of money on Gilgamesh. This one's gone right out. This has taken the hit from the money for Deansgate and Mohab. These two are the money horses, and this one has taken a walk in the market, although it's just steadying back in as we speak. And also Fieldman just drifting out slightly. I don't think anything else has really gone out apart from Slemmy going back out to that 40 mark. So let's have a look at the positions. Plenty of money now on Gilgamesh, and if we look at the trades on Tyson, yeah, that one is still round about the 50 mark on the lay side. 65 up there at 10.5. Fieldsman trading at 10.5, and there's a big chunk of money coming in there at 10.5 on the bet side. Saki's Return also showing a build up of money now on both sides, I would say, of the market there, 63 and 73. And then we've got the position on Taylor's Row, which is trading at 11.5. Decent amount at 12.5, 107 and 14.90. But these can easily be taken as you get closer to post time, because the big money starts coming in and the prices start to fluctuate quite rapidly. And we'll have a look at that in more detail in about 15 minutes. Shamahart, still scope for movement up or down, nothing really building up there on that one. Slemmy, we've still again got scope for big flexibility with the price movements because there's not a lot of money hanging around, and the price now going up to 40. So we should see, or we might see, the green shoots coming through now on Slemmy up towards 44, getting up towards the target price of 70. And Mohab, that one, again, not that much money, so flexibility for rapid movements of price on Mohab. Deansgate, the one for the money, at 11. Pretty equal on both sides. So that's the market as it stands with regards to the liquidity on the markets, and Deansgate was the one that came in for money. We're not trading on that one, we're not trading on Mohab. These are the four. Saki's return needs to get up to 20. Taylor's Row needs to get up to 16. Shamahart's a long way off our target price of 28, but still 20 minutes left. We've seen before that the prices can go out pretty rapidly as money comes in for something else, and Slemmy now beginning to go out as expected, out to 42, which is a high point on the race. About 6.5 minutes to pulse time. It doesn't look like we're going to get any trades today, but that's not been the point of the video. The point of the video is to show you the liquidity positions and the flexibility of prices, and also this single trade bet where, remember, in the early part of the video we looked at putting in a single bet and then trading off 5 ticks lower, and maybe if you get in at the right price then you can repeat the exercise. So we got Slemmy coming up to 44, and we've put the £4 in at 70. Just see if over the next minute or so whether it can actually get to that price, but it's still got quite a bit to do to get up there, but we're not that far away from it. We're only 5 ticks behind, or 6 ticks behind that actual price for Slemmy. And if you'd started trading at the lower prices in this last hour, you would now be in quite a bit of difficulty trying to get your trade sorted out. So although it did seem quite a long way off, we've still got 5.5 minutes left. We're not going to play with a whole lot of money. We're just going to leave that in and see what happens. And we're now down to the last 5 minutes. I'm not a big fan of putting bets into the market at the 5-minute stage, but if you have got bets already in there, for example if I've got these 3 in the market, then what I want to do is get rid of the back bets, so I can cancel those, cancel all bets. But if you have got some trades that are in the market that you need to lay off, you can maybe leave it a little bit closer to post time to see if these lays bets get taken. So the 5-minute marker really is to make sure that you're not putting bets into the market fresh. But if you do have already a position in the market, get rid of the bets that you haven't made, and you can try and lay the bets off pretty much up to post time. So when we say get out of the market, trade out, that's what we mean when we say get out of the market, don't play anymore, don't put your bets in, but you can still try and get rid of the lay bets that are in the market. And if you're in a losing position at post time, then obviously you'll need to trade out of that position unless you've got a good profitability and you want to take a chance, take a risk, and then you can put the bets in play key. But most of the time, if we haven't got the bets sorted by the 5-minute mark, we're not going to put any more bets in. But if we do have something to lay off, then we could leave that in the position and see if the market will go down and take the lay bets. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. We will follow it through. We didn't get much in terms of profit. This is not really what the video is about. This over here, this is not what we're talking about today. There'll be other videos where we're looking at profitability and putting on decent bets and hopefully laying and running to win more profits. But today's video has been about liquidity, and it's also been about this single bet trade. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you're interested in our services, they're coming up next after this in running play. If you do want to get involved, drop us a line. The email is on the video, and you can just drop us a line, get a free example pack of the form and the race analysis sheets. See if you can download them or open them up if you want to join the services. We already have quite a few customers over the last 2 weeks. We opened the service 2 weeks ago and we've already got quite a few. So if you do want to get involved, be pretty quick about it because places are getting snapped up fairly sharpish. So thanks for watching. Let's just watch the race unfold as we go towards the 2-minute marker. So you can see we're now past pause time, so if you did have any bets in the market, this is the time to cash them all out. Remember, we stopped putting the bets in at the 5-minute marker. The lay bets now need to be hedged, and if you've got any losses running on, then this is the time to get out. You don't want to leave it any later in case the race is more or less off bang on time. So that's the video showing the liquidity in the market and the single bet trades. We're going to be looking more at single bet trades over the next few weeks, and also looking at more profitability on the races themselves. So let's just watch the race unfold. Let's see what prices they get down to in running. And that's it, the race is off. So we're expecting Gilgamesh to run a decent race. Looking at the form in running Taylor's Row, that's got down to 8. So that was the target price to get in running, and 7.8, 7.4, 6.4. So if you had traded at 16 and it certainly got past the 8 in running, but we didn't manage to get the trade up there. It's now gone to 6 in running. So over half the price, and Slemmy, as expected, has gone right out, 160. That was just a speculative hedge play. And Gilgamesh looks like it's in with a shout. So too the unexposed one. Deansgate, the one that we didn't really fancy at the start, running a bit better than we expected, but it's drifting out now. That one's gone out to 55. Saki's return is also running well in running. Gilgamesh, Tarsing, yeah, so it's a predictable result. The one that was unexposed and Gilgamesh, the favourite, has won the race. And we didn't play on the race, but certainly these got fairly low in running. Saki's Secret got fairly low in running. Also down to Taylor's Row got below, I think that got below 8 in running. And Fieldsman, can't really tell from that graph, I'm not sure what price that got, but maybe you could rewind that and have a look. So Gilgamesh obviously set the standards. We weren't able to trade on the race, apart from the one on Taylor's Row. So thanks for watching. If you do want to have a look at the services, then please feel free to do so. So as stated on the video, the full racing packages are now available. Take your trading to another level. Professional advice and support, all our racing services are now available on the Exchange Trader channel. We have a range of packages to suit your needs, including bronze, silver and gold programs. We can also customize our range to suit your own needs and requirements. Benefits include full race form, race analysis sheets, ongoing support and help, and one-to-one feedback on your own trading performance. Click on the link under the video to access our full service playlist, or send an email to exchangetrader@btinternet.com for more information. Remember, places are limited on all packages, so act quickly to secure your place. A massive thanks to the customers already on side, as well as our growing list of subscribers and viewers.